This is a serious video. This is going to be weird. This is not a funny video, though I may make jokes. This is not supposed to be like a big funny man video. Usually I'm the comedian from The Watchmen. They're dead, but I make the funny jokes. I wanted to make a video talking about growing up in an abusive household, and it has been a video 6 years in the making. I am not good about sitting down and just talking about it in a format where I don't have a way to release it to a person. So I guess YouTube is the person now. I am an open book usually. I have talked about this stuff before, but I've never sat down and talked about it. This is kind of a conversation with me about me, but not really. I grew up in an abusive home. I had issues and still have issues with my dad. I love my mom. She has basically no part in this. There was some drama and some issues there that aren't really a problem anymore, stuff I've worked through, but there's still that nagging feeling at the back of my brain that I need to talk about my experience growing up in a broken home. When I was born, my parents were teenagers. My mom and my dad are both still young. They haven't been together for a long, long time. I want to say since I was about 6 or 7 years old. I had to live with my grandparents most of the time, and through my early childhood, I think I was pretty okay. I was just a normal, goofy kid. And moving in with my dad after an incident with my mom made me kind of scared. I was in 3rd grade, and I had to be moved around a lot until finally my dad took me in to his farm. I lived on a small farm miles away from town, and my dad was a mechanic. I lived with my little brother, Garrett, who is 3 years younger than me. I was around, I want to say 10 or 11 at the time when I first started living with him, and I lived with him up until 6th or 7th grade, about 4 or 5 years of living with him as a child, and I was constantly scared. I didn't have it as bad as other kids, and I understand that. I've been told that before. I didn't have it as bad. I had a roof over my head. I had food to eat sometimes. I didn't have it as bad. So I don't get to talk about it, right? Is that what that means? Because I didn't have it as bad, my childhood doesn't matter as much? I've been told that before by family numerous times. You know, it could have been worse. It could have been worse. Your dad could have been way, way worse. He could have hit you till you bled. He could have hit you till you were completely bruised, black and blue all over. But he hit me. And he hit me. And anytime I did anything wrong, anytime I said anything that went against him, I would be hit. I would be slammed up against the wall. I would be choked. This is things that were done to a child. Things that were done to me as a child. And I feel like sometimes I still wake up dreading my father. When I see people in media, people who get to grow up with a happy family, I get this burning hot jealousy that I missed out on having a normal life. And I still, as much as I try to work through that, I still get that feeling. I get intensely jealous of friends who just have a dad that they can talk to, that they can relate to, and it sucks. There are those of you who also have a shitty dad. Fuck that guy. He's not worth it. He's not worth your time. He's not going to change. He's not going to get better. there's something in my head that sticks out to me very, very clearly. And it was the moment that I realized that I was done. When I was in 6th grade, for probably the first time, my dad hurt my brother. My brother had been playing with a magic 8-ball, and he had gotten upset at it and threw it at the window. I remember distinctly I was in the bathroom, and I was about to take a shower. I heard running up the stairs, a door slam, and I heard screaming. I stayed in the bathroom and hid, and when I came out, my little brother had a bruise around his neck that was starting to form. This is the time that we got out. We were free of my dad after that. He had gotten in trouble and we were taken away from him, and it was such a liberating experience being free of your abuser when you had no choice. During the summer, me and my brother would often stay at our grandparents', and they did not know any of this was going on. When my dad would think that we would tell them, he would scare us by saying that he would send us to Boys Town. Boys Town being to my knowledge, a rehabilitation clinic for rowdy boys, basically. A place that they'd send kids if they were acting unruly, and he scared us with this constantly. It was a tactic that I remember very vividly being in hushed tones. If you fucking tell anyone, I will send your ass off to Boys Town so fucking fast, you little retard. Then we'd go and stay with our grandparents, and we wouldn't say anything. And those summers were so nice. It was like a vacation away from the abuse. But then it would end, and I'd dread it, and we'd go back. And we'd have to live through it all over again. Another moment that sticks out to me is at one point in time, I had gotten home from school, and the doors were locked. It was winter, and I had a light jacket on. My dad and my brother and anybody was nowhere to be found. I was in 3rd grade on a farm, alone, and I had no idea how to get inside. 6 hours pass, and I was so cold that I couldn't feel my fingers. I couldn't feel my face. I couldn't feel my toes. I thought I was going to die. So I broke the window to our laundry room and crawled through the broken glass to get inside. I luckily wasn't hurt then, but my dad got home late that night with my brother in tow. They had broken down on the road and had to push their car all the way back to the farm. A shitty part of living on a farm. And I remember seeing my dad almost shivering with anger, and he didn't do anything. He thought telling me that he was disappointed in me breaking the window was almost worse than the abuse, and in some ways it was, because as often as I was called a retard, a moron, a failure, a loser, I had never been told that he was disappointed in me. Which, now as an adult, I couldn't care less. I could not care less about what he thinks about me. I still am not able to talk to him, which is a boon, honestly, as he probably is too busy doing illicit things to care. Living on the farm was more of a cover for my dad to basically do methamphetamine, which is something that is a running theme in my childhood, and why I'm so averse to drugs, and why I was so averse to alcohol for the longest time. Which, I don't know, I'm still not a big drinker, not a drinky boy. Because it was something that I felt like if my dad was clean, maybe he wouldn't be the way he was. But that didn't turn out to be the case at all, and it just kept happening even when he wasn't on drugs. Just because my dad was an abuser didn't mean that he, quote unquote, didn't care about me. There were times when he showed, or it felt like he genuinely cared. And some of those happier memories I still lock away. And sometimes in the back of my head, I still hope that there is a chance that we can reconcile, that I can grow up and have a real dad, but I have to remember the reality. I'm old now. I'm an adult now, and that's not something that's going to happen. And I need to be okay with that. There's a point to this, and it's that I wanted to share and be open, and I wanted to talk about my abuse so that maybe some of you might want to talk about your past trauma, or if you currently are with an abuser, you have the courage to get out, because I wish I did. If I had just spoken up or said something, maybe it could have gone differently. Maybe I could have been closer to that norm that I was always seeking, but the past is the past, and I can't change that. But maybe, just maybe, someone out there is watching this and they decide that they have the courage to stand up and get out. Maybe that's all I need.